The greatest lie you've ever been told about modern society. Mind-blowing.
Another lie.
That is the title of the video we are going to be reacting to today, and this is done by the Aperture YouTube channel. So, we won't keep you guys waiting. Let's get into it.
Infancy. Every human life begins the same way. With a loud cry, a newborn announces itself to the world, not with logic or language, but with raw instinct. The sound is pure, unfiltered self-expression. Tragically, for most people, this is the only moment they ever get to be fully authentic. Because almost immediately the conditioning begins. The quiet baby is praised as precious, while the loud, expressive baby is called difficult, even troublesome. Parents start rewarding you for good, when good really means convenient for them, and eventually for the system. And so you learn early what society demands of you. Love is conditional, approval is earned. And the way to earn it is not through individuality or spontaneity, but through obedience. Obedience to the rules. The rules designed not for your flourishing, but for control, like sheep following the shepherd. This is just the beginning of the greatest lie of modern society. A lie that leaves you broken, depressed, and disinterested. At the end of this journey, you will understand just how deep this conditioning goes, and maybe, just maybe, you'll finally learn how to break free. As a child, the rules are simple. You do as you're told. Eat your vegetables, clean your room, don't talk back. The stakes seem small, but beneath them lies something much bigger. The wiring of your mind. Every pat on the head when you behave and every disappointed glance when you don't slowly teaches you a dangerous idea that your worth is tied to how well you perform within the boundaries that have been set for you. Try to defend yourself and you're told not to speak back at elders, to trust and obey and just do as you're told. You're punished for things that you don't understand. In your mind, you're expressing your creativity by drawing on the white walls of your mom's kitchen. And in reality, there's nothing inherently wrong with a wall stained with the writings of a curious child. But your mom is worried the other parents will judge her for not being able to control her kid. So she punishes you. And the lesson that you learn is that self-expression leads to harm. So you stop drawing altogether to protect yourself. You conform, and you're rewarded for it. Thanks for being a good boy and listening to Mummy, she says. What she really means is, thanks for doing as you're told, that's more important than being who you really are. This isn't parenting gone wrong. It's parenting as disguised by a culture that values order over freedom, conformity over individuality, and the needs of the many over the desires of the few. This is society training you to be an obedient child, because an obedient child grows up to be an obedient adult. And that's exactly what society needs from you, to keep its machines running smoothly. Then comes school. And here, the indoctrination is no longer subtle, it's direct. The same idea will be drilled into your mind almost every single day. For the next 12 years, you'll spend around half of your waking hours being shaped into a tool for the use of society. You're told you're being educated, that this is where your mind expands, where you learn how to think. But the structure tells a different story. Almost the opposite story. Raise your hand before you speak. Ask permission to go to the bathroom. Wait for the bell before you can eat. Every instinct is put on a leash. Every impulse must be regulated by an external authority. This isn't education, it's conditioning. What you're learning isn't math, history, or grammar. It's how to be a cog in a larger machine, and that the needs of the machine must always come first. Think about what we reward in school. Memorization over creativity. Compliance over curiosity. Collaboration is punished as cheating. Expressing yourself outside the rules is labeled as disruptive. Even the dress codes, uniforms, or strict clothing policies send a clear signal. Individuality is a crime and you will be severely punished. The goal is to create a completely homogeneous group. There are no two people that are distinct from one another, and everyone becomes interchangeable, like spare parts of one giant machine. By the time you finish your formative years, you've spent thousands of hours rehearsing obedience. Bell conditions you like Pavlov's dog. The classroom trains you to equate external validation with success, and perhaps most devastating of all, you begin to equate silence and conformity with safety. By middle school and high school, the stakes get even higher. It's no longer just teachers and parents reinforcing the system. It's your peers. Like crabs stuck in a bucket, the people at the bottom of the trap can't bear to watch anyone get out. So they grab and grab until they make sure that they drag you back to the bottom, into the abyss, and that's just normal. As a teen, your greatest fear is not fitting in. Oh boy. You learn that being different means isolation. So everything about you, your clothes, music, hobbies, even the way that you speak, all of it is policed by this invisible hand of normalcy. You're completely stripped of everything that makes you you, and are instead just another one in the crowd, an identical piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Meanwhile, the external rewards become even more tied to conformity. Grades become your currency. Your GPA becomes shorthand for your value. College admissions become the gatekeepers of your future. And what's worse is that all of this is presented to you as freedom. They tell you that you get to choose who you'll become, but the choices are rigged. You must pick the option that makes you the most useful to the machine, whether that's a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Try to make a choice that's better for you and you will be shut down, told that you're going to waste your life. When in reality, the only wasted life is the one where you never get to live the way that you truly want. And when you reach college, the illusion deepens. This is marketed as the time of exploration, the place where you finally decide who you are and who you want to be. But the choices are so carefully curated. Your major is not an expression of your soul, never is, never will be. It's a marketed calculation. Will this degree make you employable? Will it make you valuable in the eyes of the system? You're forced to do something that benefits the system more than it benefits your being. And if you fail, the system takes no responsibility. It's always your fault. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't network well. You didn't do all that was required of you. The myth of meritocracy keeps the blame squarely on your shoulders, forgetting that if a monkey and a fish are given a test to find the best swimmer, the monkey is not a failure for losing. The test is. This is one of the most sophisticated forms of control, convincing people that their unhappiness is their fault, that the system is flawless and you are flawed. By the time you leave college, you've internalized the script so deeply that you don't need teachers or parents to keep you in line. You self-police. You silence your own instincts. You dismiss your own dreams. This is what sociologist Erich Fromm warned about. A society so effective at conditioning that people willingly submit to systems of control, all the while believing that they're free. And then finally comes the great reveal. Work. Ugh. All those years of obedience, of memorizing, of normalizing, it was all training for this. The 40-hour work week, the 9 to 5, the 40 years of labor traded for the illusion of stability. This is where the greatest lie fully blooms. That your value as a human being is measured by your productivity. That your identity is not who you are, but what you do for a living.
I just wanted to address that one scene where they were throwing paper at the kid and they're calling him a loser, and I was like, oh... and I kind of laughed, but the truth is I like in my life acceptance, because I can be pretty weird at times, so I actually like being accepted, and I empathize with being in high school or some other institution where it's heavy on conformity, it's heavy on traditionalism and conservatism, and it's just not my cup of tea. So I actually, in real life, even though I kind of laughed at that, I prefer to surround myself with, for the most part, I don't like that. I don't like bullying and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I say for the most part because it's just unbelievable. There's always nuance to everything. Like some person might be so uncomfortable without a little bit of like competition or a little bit of like, or a lot of competition or a kind of understanding that it's every person for themselves. They've been conditioned just way differently, and they would be utterly weirded out in a room full of like rainbow accepting people. They would be weirded out. Yeah. It's like, that's not the conditioning I got, and aren't both conditionings like, what happened to the zebra that came out and it was colored in rainbow colors?
Yeah.
The zebra?
Yeah.
You know how zebras are black and white? You know
Yes.
What happened to the one that came out and it was rainbow instead? Nothing, because that doesn't exist, because they thrive on looking like the same thing. And a lot of systems thrive on this thing that's being demonized right now.
Yeah.
It's not like I missed the point.
Yeah.
It's just part of what I like to do here is like an invitation, if you can handle it, have more freedom and fun in life. But the truth is, for a lot of people that maybe lack the ability to think their way out, or lack the ability to like manipulate out or work their way out of the system, they rest in the system like a gentle matrix, like a mother cradling them. You're telling me all I got to do is punch a clock, and if I put in my time, in 40 years, I'll be like head of the company? Yeah. They weren't probably going to do much else. You know what I mean? So let the baby have its bottle. You don't let things get out of control. If you know something's wrong, or you have some influence in it and it makes sense to do so, execute your influence and make changes where they're needed. And maybe fortune will favor you. Maybe evolution will favor your ideas and they will become the predominant thing. You don't really know till you try. But for some people, they kind of like this. They don't want ultimate freedom. They'd be like, I don't know what I would do. You ever heard of the lottery curse? Like there's some people that win the lottery and then a year they're broke and their lives have gone very bad. It's too much freedom. Yeah. You know what I mean? They didn't know how to handle it.
Well, I want to choose my words carefully here, because I don't want to say this is good or bad. What I saw when examining this was, because it is painted in a picture, like the effects of the video and stuff like that kind of got like that dark twinge to it. Yeah. To kind of like point out like there's something wrong going on here.
Yeah. And I see the point they're
making. I'm like, I hear what you're saying, the way that what you're talking about here, but there's also this side of it where maybe it's just that it's outdated. Like, I think that all systems eventually get corrupted over time. Give it anything enough time. Like, you get one person in power, they can overhaul in a complete system. And something that was meant to help people, like, I think you even see it in cycles. If you look at history culturally, like a lot of people say, like 50s were awesome. You only had to work this, one person worked, and like, depending on who you are, it's all about perspective too, right? But like, I feel like a lot of our systems have been corrupted over time, and they're changing. So I don't totally demonize the system that we're in. I just think that it's been corrupted and it's time for an overhaul. Right now in like, I think, what is it, like Finland or Iceland, they have like a 30-hour work week rather than a 40-hour work week, right? Mm-hmm. They're changing things. Little things are slowly changing. Mm-hmm. And where things have gotten really stale and they sucked the dreams out of people, there will be like a course correction where like you got nothing but people doing dreams. And like, it's like, we need some people to actually like do things, like there'll probably be a course correct somewhere along the line. I think we're living in that day and age right now, where a lot of our systems, we've seen like the peak of capitalism, and at least here in the West. And I think it's going to correct itself, and you'll probably see something more socialistic. I'm not exactly sure what it'll look like.
But the tendency people have is to demonize things that are other than what they want. Yeah. You know what I mean? All the way down to like, you could find some people to agree with you, but sometimes it gets all the way down to the individual level, where you've got like an individual saying, what's wrong with everyone? Even for instance, like back in the day, I remember like probably like 10 years ago, there was a lot of videos that were coming across my path about having a passive income. Yeah. From people that apparently had figured out how to have a passive income, and they were like, I did some stuff. Well, this is what I did. I went online and they found some way of, and 1, 2, skip a few. They were like, I'm a millionaire now. Now I get to do whatever I want. And you're like sitting there like scratching your head like a monkey. Like, I want to know how to do that. And the truth is, when somebody can figure something out that you can't, you might be like, well, what if the whole world did that shit? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it already is varied. Like, I understand the point the video is making. I get that. And you could be sitting there going, there's something wrong with all this control. All right, well, what are you going to do about it? Because there's nothing that's just got no reason. And it's like, well, I know the reason. Yeah. Okay, well, are you going to sit and bitch, or are you going to fight your way out? Yeah. What are you going to do? Yeah. You know what I mean? And what are we going to do? That was a good point that you made in terms of a bunch of people having the same idea. And you're right, things course correct, and this is where competition for best ideas come through. But to me, if the video results, or if anything results in just kind of a stagnant, like, like resolution. Well, at least I know everything sucks and I'm right about it. I'm like, that's a pretty useless rightness. You know what I mean? Did you went and proselytized and nobody bit? It didn't change anything, all your proselytizing? Go back to the drawing board. Figure something out. Figure out what you're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And craft your ideas in appealing ways. That's part of it. Say you want to change something. You've got to say it in a way that'll actually have and you got to know when to quit. It's like, this is such a radical idea. Nobody's biting. Well, you're going to have to figure out a way to do what you want, and but there are consequences depending on what your thing is. If your thing is like monstrous and weird, maybe be open to the idea that people know what they're taught. You shouldn't engage in that. Just remain open. Remain open when you take this in. See the points it's making, but like we've done here, we've kind of paired it against well, I don't want people that are radically different than me and possibly violent and crazy, like being empowered, running around, or people that are psychopathic being more empowered than they already are.
Yeah. Well, this is a long one, so we'll let it ride. And
The introduction begins with the question, who are you? It's always followed with name plus profession. Not what makes you come alive, not your hobbies, your goals, or your dreams, just what job title you have, so the other person can use it to determine your worth. When the inevitable dissatisfaction creeps in, when the small voice in the back of your mind whispers, God, this cannot be all of it, can it? The system has an answer waiting: consumerism. Consumerism is the perfection of slavery, the perfection of the lie that you have been told, because it convinces you that happiness is not something you already have, but it's something that you can and must purchase. As a child, control was simple. Bells told you when to move, teachers told you when to speak, parents told you who to be. The authority was external, obvious, and rigid, but the system knows that once you're an adult, those methods won't work anymore. Nobody can ring a bell and force you to shuffle between classrooms. No one can give you detention for speaking out of turn. So that strategy changes. Instead of raw obedience, you're offered desire. Instead of punishment, you're offered pleasure. Instead of control through force, you're controlled through longing. If the system can convince you that purchasing is the path to fulfillment, then you don't need to be forced to comply. You'll comply willingly, because every time you feel that ache of emptiness, every time that quiet voice in your head starts to ask questions, you'll run off to the store or the website or that endless scroll to silence it. The treadmill is elegant in its simplicity. To buy, you must earn. To earn, you must work. And to work, you must stay plugged into the very system that makes you unhappy in the first place. This is how slavery perfects itself. Not with chains, but with credit cards. Not with overseers, but with influencers. Not with threats, but with advertising so omnipresent that it feels like the air you breathe. The products don't even matter. It could be a new phone, a vacation package, a wardrobe refresh, or the curated image of your life posted online. What matters is the cycle. The promise that happiness is just one purchase away, just one raise away, just one new thing away, and so the lie continues. You mistake stimulation for satisfaction. You mistake consumption for identity. You mistake distraction for freedom. But the truth is, the more you consume, the more entangled you become. Every purchase ties you deeper into the system that sold you that illusion in the first place. And now? It is much worse, because you don't even own anything anymore. You're constantly renting it all. Your music, movies, video games, every single digital product can be instantly switched off by the giant corporations pulling the strings behind the scenes. If you stop and really look around, you might realize the truth. You're not living your life. You're renting it out to a system that only sees you as a resource. But these escapes are not true freedom. They're pressure valves designed to keep the machine running. You're given just enough relief to keep going, but never enough space to truly break free. Think about it. Your vacations are approved by the very system that you are trying to escape from. Your leisure is scheduled. Your relaxation monetized. Even your supposed self-expression, your hobbies, your social media presence gets pulled back into the cycle as data to be sold, as trends to be commodified. The illusion of escape is just another tool of control, because if they can convince you that you're free, you'll stop looking for real freedom. And here's where modern society has perfected the lie. In earlier generations, control was maintained through overt authority. Bosses, governments, religious institutions. You knew who the oppressor was, and you could point to them directly. Today, the system doesn't even need to lift a finger. It lets algorithms do the work. Social media tells you that this is where you can finally be yourself, that this is the digital stage of pure self-expression. But the truth is darker. Algorithms are not designed to reveal your authentic self. They're designed to keep you hooked, to amplify whatever keeps you scrolling, clicking, and consuming. And oftentimes, that's what gets you riled up and emotional, not who you truly are. And at first, it feels harmless. A recommendation here, a suggestion there. But over time, something deeper takes shape. Algorithms don't just influence your choices, they reshape your desires. They don't just predict what you like, they manufacture what you like. They collapse the infinite possibilities of who you could be into a narrow loop of what keeps the machine running. And in that process, your identity becomes blurred. Your attention, once a tool for exploration and meaning, is fractured into infinite pieces. Your sense of self is eroded until you can't tell what you really want anymore or who you even are. The result is a life written in vanishing ink. Posts, likes, stories, reels, fleeting bursts of stimulation that disappear almost as quickly as they arrive. You chase validation that evaporates the moment it's received. And when the screen goes dark, you're left with a hollow question. Does any of this even matter? That's when the apathy takes root.
We've seen a bunch of videos like this. Great video, by the way. Very well done. A lot of good points. Valuable video. But I'm thinking of the nature of this video. If you're a YouTuber like this guy and you work hard, you eventually get a paycheck for making these videos. And if you're a consumer by something like this, it may enrich your life. You may make a life change that makes your life better.
Yeah.
Is there, of course, stuff out there that's just a cheap thrill? Yeah. And do they push towards those things? Yeah, like in all kinds of different ways, like in fast food, like in drugs and all kinds of different things, right?
Yeah.
Addiction is like pushed. You do have to be vigilant about that. But I'm thinking about the state of things and I'm like, we have a lot of stuff. And it's like, would you rather less stuff?
Yeah.
Would you rather less stuff?
Me? Well...
like not even
no,
necessarily you. It's like a rhetorical
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
It's like, would you rather less healthcare? Would you rather less clothing options? Would you rather less available food? You know what I mean? Like all this shit, shows people walking down the street with clothes and you're like, yeah, it's some fancy clothes, but like I don't want there to be less options for clothes in case I need them.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about like that when they were talking about the kids drawing on the wall. It's like, kids just trying to draw on the wall. Well, some kids don't draw very well, and they'd like throw the paint bucket on the wall and be like, I'm just expressing myself. And you're like, the walls, you couldn't have made a rainbow like in the video. You just put the handprints and smudged it, and it's on you. It's everywhere. It's in your diaper. Which is just funny, like a funny thing I was thinking about. And then I was thinking about if you were in an actual prison, like you were actually in a prison encampment or something like that, would you be alone or would you want somebody to play cards with? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's rules in prison. Like there's one crazy guy that's put in a hole every day because he won't fall in line. They're like, come on, Stabby, just don't freak out this time. And he freaks out and they throw him in the hole. And then he gets beat because he's weird afterwards. Don't do that. That's horrible. But I'm saying like part of this, people are figuring out and videos like this are important. And yes, we're doing that. But we've got here for reasons because we don't want to be alone, and we're trying to do what the system wants, and after all, it does stimulate the economy and all this stuff. It's just we get greedy and we want, we're unsatisfied because of our greedy nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We get too wrapped up in the things that society has to provide.
Yeah.
It provides you so much stuff. It provides you the poison and the cure.
Yeah.
And rather than stepping away from that cycle of poison and cure, just to like appreciate what is, we don't really escape. We just escape into our minds and we escape into philosophy about it and needing to understand what's going on, everything but just existing.
Yeah.
Appreciating being alive.
Well, I keep waiting for like the solution. I'm watching this video and I'm like, am I supposed to be worried and afraid and anxious now about like all the stuff that's going on in the world that like is keeping me a slave? Like I hope the video, I don't know, because we still got a little bit of time left. I haven't seen it. I hope it like points in a direction of like helpful, like where we can go with this and
Well, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving you an answer. Like if we were in a tribe, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you'd wake up every day? Like if it was 1,000 years ago, we're a tribe, and it's like it's the slow months, and people are actually starving. 3 people starved to death. We gotta go on a hunt, and we gotta capture something. You know what I mean? And the person that actually gets the boar gets the most, but the rest of us for helping corner it get a little bit.
Yeah.
It would be like, well, I should get as much as the guy that spears it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is there always a opportunity to look at the situation? I wouldn't want to be in that situation. It sounds like hell. I don't even want to go back 2 years. I don't want to go back a month. I'm fine with where I'm at. The solution might be to, one, it's like, well, am I smart enough to figure my way out to freedom? Mm-hmm. Am I smart enough to like figure out how to get more freedom? I'm not. Well, thank God I have a function then. And I'm not like a derelict with no perspectives and nothing to do. Yeah. So you can cultivate some gratitude about it. You can do your part, you know, which is talking about it and acknowledging good thoughts when they come along and supporting that. You can support good things. You can be appreciative. And then you can realize the emptiness of what he's talking about with materialism. That's clear. You know what I mean? It wouldn't matter if you were the king of a primitive thing. You could only eat so many lard cakes before you'd be like, I need something better. You know what I mean? It's like you can't satisfy your insatiable thing because you're wrapped up in that. You've lost sight of what's nice about just being. Like, I'm not going to do it, but I'm tempted to be like, just close your eyes and breathe. Yeah. You know, don't jump to a thing. You have been conditioned to jump to a thing to solve it real quick. Yeah. But the answer is more seems by and large for like a lasting, sustainable way of having a sense of peace is to slow down a little bit, disengage from it a little bit. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you're in a prison. And do you want to be playing cards alone? Or do you want some people to play cards with? You know what I mean? We're doing our best. We're all doing our best.
All right, well, we'll let it play to the end, and I guess we'll meet you guys there.
You begin to believe nothing matters, that nothing is worth fighting for, because everything dissolves into the endless scroll. This is the final stage of conditioning, when you are broken down so completely that you rebuild yourself in the system's image. You don't need authority figures to silence you anymore. You silence yourself. You censor your own thoughts before they're even spoken. You dismiss your own dreams before they're even formed. You become your own prison guard. And the brilliance, if you want to call it that, is that you think you're doing it freely. You think you're being just realistic, just going with the flow, just living in the modern world. But in reality, you've internalized the lie so deeply that you no longer see it as a lie at all. This is the perfect citizen, the perfect worker, the perfect consumer. Someone who willingly sacrifices their own individuality, all while believing they're exercising free will. But perhaps the cruelest trick comes later, when society tells you that all this waiting, all this sacrifice will, one day, pay off. The reward is called retirement. Work hard for 4 decades, and one day you'll finally be free. That's the promise. But it's a promise built on sinking sand. This is one that the younger generation is slowly starting to realize is an illusion. The modern idea of retirement wasn't designed as a gift. It was an economic policy. Otto von Bismarck introduced retirement in the 1880s, not to liberate people, but to clear the workforce of the elderly and make room for younger labor. What was sold as compassion was, in truth, just efficiency. And for most people, retirement doesn't feel like freedom, it feels like collapse. Psychologists call it identity foreclosure. When your entire sense of self is built on your job, the moment you step away, you lose the foundation of who you are. That's why rates of depression among retirees spike dramatically. Without the structure of work, many discover that they have no inner life to fall back on, no self beyond the cog they once were. Alan Watts compared it to a donkey chasing a carrot on a stick. You spend your life chasing the promise of future happiness, only to discover that the carrot was never meant to be caught, and that you've spent your life chasing a destination when the destination was the entire journey that you just missed. And then comes the end. After decades of obedience, of conformity, of waiting, you finally confront the one thing society can't disguise or delay: death. But even here, the lie continues. Society tells you to measure your life by external markers, what job you had, what possessions you owned, what milestones you checked off, not whether you truly lived.
Bueno.
The tragedy is that for many, death arrives before life ever does. They waited for retirement, they waited for the weekend, they waited for the future, and when the end came, they realized they had been waiting their entire lives. The system worked exactly as designed. It kept them docile, productive, and waiting right up until the very last breath. But if you're watching this, chances are that you are still alive. I think the science checks out. And where there is life, there is hope. That's not just a cliche saying. You can choose to take back your life today, to break out of the mold society has forced you to fit in, and to live a life that you will be proud of when your own last day comes. But let me tell you, freedom does not come easy. It can be a long and grueling process filled with more sadness than happiness, but at the end is pure joy. The incredible feeling of a life well lived, of a time well savored, of an experience that many unfortunately never get to experience. So what do we do? If the script of modern society is a lie, how do we break free? The first step is one that you've already passed, and that's recognizing the lie for what it is. Understanding that the script is not inevitable, that the normal that you've been taught to chase is a manufactured standard designed to control you. Freedom isn't something you find at the end of a script. It's not a prize waiting in retirement. It's not a product you can buy or a status that you can achieve. Freedom is available only in the present, in the choices that you are making right now. Alan Watts put it beautifully. Life is not a journey to a destination. It's like music or dance. The point isn't to get to the end, but to play, to move, to live fully in every moment. Breaking free doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow or running off into the woods. The system is far too deeply interwoven into modern life for most people to simply walk away. But freedom has never been about geography. It's about mindset. To break free is to reclaim your mind, your time, and your sense of self, piece by piece. The first step is to redefine success. You've been told that your worth comes from productivity, possessions, and status symbols. But what if success was something else entirely? What if it was measured by how deeply that you live each day? By how present you are with the people that you love? By how true you are to yourself, even when the world demands that you conform? Redefining success means stepping off the treadmill of comparison and returning to a more human measure: joy, connection, and authenticity. The second step is to cultivate presence. Society trains you to overlook the present moment, to constantly postpone life for later. But freedom begins in the now, in the laughter shared with a friend, in the feeling of the sun on your skin, in the smallest details of life that money cannot buy and algorithms cannot replicate. Mindfulness, gratitude, meditation, or simply pausing to breathe. These aren't luxuries, they're acts of rebellion. Because every moment that you spend fully present is a moment the system cannot steal from you. Next, you must learn to choose consciously. The lie of modern society is that you have no choice, that you must do what everyone else does. But the truth is, every small action is a choice. How you spend your time, how you earn, how you consume, and how you connect. Before you act, pause and just ask yourself, am I doing this because it makes me feel alive, or because I've been told that I should? The system thrives on unexamined habits. Break the cycle by questioning them. Conscious choice is the beginning of true autonomy. And finally, you must embrace uncertainty, as society promises safety and security, but that is a false promise. Nassim Nicholas Taleb reminds us that there is no ultimate security in life. Chasing it is a trap, an endless cycle of ensuring, saving, and preparing for futures that may never come. The alternative is not recklessness, but resilience, cultivating flexibility, adaptability, and the courage to live without guarantees. Real freedom lies in learning to dance with uncertainty and not hide from it. None of these steps are dramatic. They don't require walking away from society or burning it all down. They're not grand gestures, but small acts of rebellion. Choosing to live by your own values instead of a machine's. Choosing to find joy in moments that cannot be monetized, choosing to define your life not by what you produce, but by how deeply you live it. Piece by piece, these small rebellions reclaim the one thing the system can never truly control: your awareness, your presence, and your choice. And once you see that clearly, the lie begins to lose its power. The greatest lie you've been told is that your life belongs to the system, that you are a cog in the machine. The truth is simpler and far more powerful. Freedom is not something you wait for. It's something you claim right now. It's how you choose to live in this moment, right here, right now, this second. The system may own your labor. It may own your time. It may even own your body, but it can never own your mind unless you choose to give it away. And that means the power to break free has always been yours. Start today. Start right now. Because tomorrow, it might be too late.
He like winced when he said they may even own your body. He was like had to cut away because he was like wincing. But he there you go. He gave a really good answer at
some
the end.
tangible stuff. Good things you can do. You know,
Yep.
There's a lot I think of good things you can take from like the personal development community. Like I read a lot of books. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Living. A lot of those personal development books actually say some of those things. Like to not give up on your dreams. Do what you can when you're not plugged into that system. Be conscious of the system. Be aware of all that stuff. Everything. That's where I see the video as good. It was really dark for about 80% of it. And then kind of in the end, it kind of like took a turn there.
I think you need to speak the truth to see the truth. For instance, like you might not know how bad you're suffering. You know what I'm saying? You might not know the situation, but it might be met with like spikes of deep frustration with something. And you don't really recognize that it's the system that you're in that's contributing to a lot of your ups and downs and stuff like that. But if you start to speak the truth as how you actually feel, you know what I mean? You just kind of like a little rebellion every now and then. I'm going to say what I actually think. I think that could be quite powerful. And it might be powerful to a level that right now you couldn't handle. But future you will be able to handle it because you did it incrementally. But like what I mean is, if you start speaking enough truth about what your actual needs and stuff are, the system will push you out.
Yeah.
It doesn't reward that. It already told you what it rewards, but it rewards you with emptiness. That's what it doesn't tell. The ultimate lie. The word lie was used in there.
Yeah.
And I would put the caveat of, if you're really like, I just have no idea, I'm lost and I have no idea, then I would be like, start telling the truth. But that can be dangerous because I don't know, if you didn't even see the legitimacy of a video like this, I say speak the truth, but I'm not certain that everybody could start going around telling the truth and know how to be careful enough about that. Because the truth is you're pulled in by society into this lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, why do I need to have a specific kind of job at all? Like, I'd be satisfied selling tacos down by the beach. It's like, yeah, well, none of the girls that frequent that beach are interested in you, and you're interested in a spouse, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, are you sure you want the type of spouse that gets it by buying their way into it? Are you sure you want a spouse at all? Or did you grow up with parents that were like, when you going to bring a girl around? You're going to have babies? Like, when you start pulling on this thread, it gets ridiculous. You might just undo your everything. You're like, shit, even my desire to get out of the system is a belief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How did I get a hold of that? It's like, there's just an opportunity here to start thinking. But at a very practical level, I thought the list that he gave at the end was very useful. You were like, when is he going to get to the cure? And then he got to it. I would just add the caveat, if you can handle it. Try seeing what happens when you start being as transparent as you can be about who you really are.
Yeah.
You speak the truth and all of a sudden you can see the truth. You'd be like, I'm surrounded by assholes. You know what I mean? Like nobody gives a shit about me. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? You might find your way out. They might just not invite you.
Yeah.
If you start saying that shit.
Yeah, you may awaken up on a pirate ship and have to jump overboard or something. I don't know. But anyway, good video. Hopefully you guys liked our reaction on this one. If you did, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone next time, stay spiritual.